金色ラブリッチェ。結局雪積もりませんでしたね。
It fell on Christmas Eve but didn't stick. Wasn't that the best outcome you could ask for? By the way, Akane-chan, were you not going home to visit your folks?
実は大掃除が終わってなくて大晦日あたりまで繰り下げました。
Cleaning her? That's not good. You need to stick to a schedule, otherwise you'll never finish.
先輩たちも先週まで苦しんでたくせに。まあいっか。そんなわけで今年いっぱいは寮ですからギリギリまでは付き合いますよ先輩。
Ah!
Fire!
Da! We started off with a group jog. I needed to get my body back into shape first. Then, around the time I finished my warm-up...
市松殿。
Elsan, any news?
はい。アメリカからご足労いただくのは苦労しましたが。
Elsan arrived with a rugged-looking black man in tow.
ジョン・スミスさんです。偽名ですが、ここではそうお呼びください。
Hi!
Hello! This had to be just the man I asked for. You're a lifesaver.
シルビー様のご命令です。仕方ありません。
Oh, are you worn out?
市松殿のご提案を聞いたシルビー様がどうしても結末を見たいと申して年末は帰国しないと言い出したのです。スケジュール管理が狂った上に本国からひどいお叱りで。
Haha, I'm really sorry.
あなたのせいではありません。でもできればこの苦労を無意味なものにはしないでくださいね。
Will do. Although there was no telling how this would all pan out, I was putting my faith in him.
金色ラブリッチェ。
Ah, 8. Ugh, 9. 10. Cha!
おっとと、大丈夫かい。
I'm fine. Sorry I dropped you.
いえい
Let's go again, so hop on.
え。なんかさっきからバタバタうるせえと思ったら。ああ、リアちゃん。
Hey! 1.
その人を背中に乗せてする腕立てって意味あんの？
No clue, but I figured a heavier load couldn't hurt.
乗ってる側も楽しいよ。
Reina's butt was super soft, so I definitely don't mind.
なんだそれ。リアちゃんも乗ってみる？ほら、負荷は増えた方がいいよね。
Nah, I'd probably get hurt otherwise.
よい、せ。ほら、頑張れ自動遊具。後で100円入れてやっから。
Good. This was rough. Ria's butt felt nice too, though. 1.
頑張れ。あ、電話だ。もしもーし。もしもし、レイナ。オーロは頑張ってるかしら。うん。ほら、聞こえる？オーロの苦しむ声。頑張れ、オーロ。それで、レイナ、この前のパーティーのことなんだけど、計画してたことがお流れになっちゃったでしょ？それでね。本当に？まあ、うん。じゃあ大晦日に。またね。バイバイ。あれ？オールが止まってる。ああ、とっくに潰れてるからどいてやれや。
Good.
うわ、ごめんごめん。金色ラブリッチェ。
Boom! Kersmack!
野球のボールってこんなに速いんだ。
You would have an easier time seeing them if you go to a betting cage. I doubt they'd go this fast, though.
Hey!
Ah, ice! Okay. My arm was on pins and needles, even with a baseball glove for cushioning, but I threw the ball back. I had him throw another pitch. Playing catcher for the first time in forever. Youch! It was tough work to catch a ball going 160 kilometers per hour.
それで先輩はこれを
Well, I'd give it a shot anyway. One, two.
この負荷のかけ方怪我が心配です。
本人が言ってるんだからいいじゃん。ご協力サンキューね、あやかっち。私一人じゃ負荷が足りないんだけど、二人だとさすがに重いとかでちょうどいいよ。
Jogasaki was just about perfect.
その発言、私がキサキさんより重いと言ってるに同義で失礼ですよ。
Sorry. Three.
まったく。
I got Jogasaki to help me out for the day. Not that I'd ever say to her face, but her plump ass felt incredible against my back.
お尻に市松さんの気が体を感じる。
Four. Five.
棟梁くん、楽しそうだね。
そうかな。オーロが認めてくれてやっと迷いが晴れたよ。俺がこっちに残ったのは間違ってないって。あいつの言うことはいつも間違ってないからさ。俺正しかったんだよな。
そうだね。呼ばれたの明日だっけ？
ちいかちゃんも来てくれるよね。
金色ラブリッチェ。
New Year's Eve. Sunny skies all around. And thank goodness for that. Strong winds would have been our biggest problem. Phew.
疲れてる？
I pushed myself too hard this week. I did get myself back in decent shape though.
マジになったオーロは初めて見たけど、意外と泥臭いんだね。
Guess so. I wasn't very cool, huh?
悪くはないけど、オーロっぽくないかな。
That's so? Yeah, I guess it worked out. I won't do it again. From now on, I'd lead a moderate, uneventful life. Today and never again.
オーロ。
Hey! Torio showed up a little past noon, just like we promised. Chieka was with him. Perfect! This conversation was just as important for her. Torio set down the paper bag with my scarf in it. I brought them with me outside.
ここ俺たちは入るとまずいんじゃ。
Probably, but don't worry about it. I'm friends with a princess. We can cheat using her royal authority, so the school will let something this minor go.
王女様って何？
Oh, did I not tell you, Chieka? Here, take a look. I showed her the selfie I took a while back of Sylvie and I hugging.
シルビア王女様？
You know her?
知ってるも何も、オーロくん知り合い？私みたいに音楽やってるのには同年代じゃ神様みたいな。あら、来たわよ。
Her reaction was way more entertaining than Torio's. Setting that aside for now, Sylvie's arrival was right on time. Elsan trailed behind her, along with
どうも
Good to see you. John Smith's son. On that note,
オーロ。この人。
Sylvie and Elsa knew, but this was Torio's first time meeting him, and he was nothing short of confused. John Smith was an alias. I hadn't heard his real name, but... You don't know?
え？
You don't recognize him? Knowing Torio, he probably did. I, at least, posed that question to him either way. He took a good look at him.
ごめん、知らない。
And shook his head. That's so? Even someone like Torio, who had been a baseball fanatic his entire life, didn't recognize a fellow athlete. Probably just the sort of athlete we were dealing with. I heard he's a minor league 3A pitcher.
トリプル A。
A pitcher from the minor leagues, a lower division of the major leagues. It wasn't too shocking he didn't know him. For what it was worth, John Smith's son was a professional baseball player signed under formal contract. In fact, his credentials were so impressive that taking work outside of his team was a breach of contract and he was utilizing an alias. His straight ball tops out at 163 kph. He can output at 160 kph pretty frequently too. He's been stuck in the AAA leagues due to his lack of stability, and he's only gotten to play in the majors twice in his 6 years of playing professionally. It was awfully rude of me to talk about Smith's son that way, but it didn't matter much since he didn't speak Japanese. Had he pieced together what I wanted to say, Torio grimaced. He flew in a few days ago and he played for a bit. As a pitcher, he's light years better than you. And even then, he can't seem to make it in the majors.
そう。
I guarantee it. You aren't some prodigal pitcher.
オール君。
That's my opinion as someone who's been with him for a decade. Trust me. You might become a star if you stayed in Japan, especially if you can pitch at 160 kph. I bet the media would sing his praises if you did. But that won't fly abroad. AAA was the most he could expect. Making it into the AAA league in the majors was, of course, an outstanding achievement. But it wasn't a fitting accolade for his talents.
そりゃ今はだけど、それこそプロに行って練習すればわからないだろう。
True enough. That was an unknown variable. It wasn't for me to nitpick, and I did think it was possible he might pull it off somehow with his skills. But I think it's futile. It's better if you focus solely on taking the field. That's why I personally think it'd be better if you trained in America than to continue to pitch under your current coach. There you have it, Chieka. He's going to America.
そんな。
I won't tell you to go with him, but if you do, wait until you graduate and study English in the meantime. There's a chance some blonde girl with huge tits could snag him while he's over there, but that would be out of our control.
しないよ。俺は千恵香ちゃん一筋で。いや、それより俺は行かないって言ってるだろ。俺の将来だぜ。オーロが決めるなよ。
It put me at a disadvantage when he put it that way. You're right, but put it on.
おっ。
I tossed him a baseball glove I'd borrowed from the academy. It came with a ball, of course. And a bat. Why don't we have a 3-pitch showdown? I grabbed the bat and pointed it straight at Torio. It'd give me a chance to prove that you've got no talent as a pitcher.
打とう。
Torio didn't hesitate to put the glove on.
夏以降、野球からは離れてるんだよな。あ、バッティングセンターだけは行ってたとか。
Nope. I've detested to even see the B in baseball ever since.
じゃあ、打てるわけないよ。わかるだろ。
In spite of what he said, he was grinning from ear to ear. The more he dropped his guard, the better. I headed for the edge of the field, toward the batter's box.
ちょっと、あなた、オールをバカにしないで。
市松殿はこの1週間、かなりのハードワークで体の調子をかつてに戻しています。あなたのために。
え？
Don't tell him. I wanted to throw him off his game.
そういう不意打ちは良くないよ、オーロ。 島くんのためを思ってこの1週間血吐く思いで体作り直したこと教えてあげなよ。
I told you, don't say it.
オールくん。
Huh. Ah, Smith's son, if you would please. I had Smith's son, who I asked to be our catcher, put on his mitt. His primary position was as a pitcher, but I was sure he could at least stop a pitch. Once our preparations were in order.
わかったよ、オーロ。でも悪いけど、手加減はしないからな。
He headed for the mound. The match was on. Tension encased the field.
ねえねえ、そのまま投げちゃっていいの？まずは体を温めたりとか。ピッチャーって投げる前はブルペンとかいうなんか練習のとこで投げて肩作るんでしょ？
そうだ、ちょっとタイム。
But he managed to take a momentary break. I told you not to say anything. I wanted to establish whatever small advantage I could.
せこいのはダメだよ、オーロ。
Man. Torio limbered up with some stretches and light sprints. I had been stretching since this morning, so any advantage that had given me was gone. What a nightmare.
オーロくん、
Chieka looked for an opening to speak.
私どうしたらいい？
You don't have to do anything. You should be on his side. This isn't a matter of either of us being right or wrong. It wasn't as if either of us were in the right, namely Torio's desire to stay and my wanting him to go abroad. Nothing was especially odd about him trying to lead a stable, well-balanced life. At the end of the day, he didn't have the proper mindset to fulfill his duties as a pitcher, and it was too dangerous for him to undergo the coach's reckless training regime. I believed the best choice was for him to go to the majors. Above all else, I wanted him to go. And that was why we would settle it with a match. That was all.
20球練習する。
Sure. Once I exited the box, Torio pitched into Smith-son's ready and waiting glove with zero hesitation. His first throw made one hell of a crack and likely exceeded 150 kph. So he isn't injured then.
よかったね。
It would have made me happier if he was in some pain. Being in peak condition was one of the best things a baseball player could hope for, and Torio had that in spades. He single-mindedly threw a ridiculously perfect pitch. That was another talent of his.
悪いな、オロ。今日は絶好調だ。お前が見ててくれると。
Wow!
He was impressive enough to surprise a professional athlete.
し。し。20球だ。
Yeah. I headed back to the batter's box.
勝ち負けはどうする？こっちは3ストライク取ったら勝ち。
I'd consider it a win if I land a single hit. You should be able to tell whether or not it's hittable, I'd assume.
あ、
He wasn't one to slip in this regard. I'd also win if you walk me. It's over on ball 3.
わかってる。そんなにいらないさ。行くぞ。
Torio gripped the ball. I also took my position. Reina and Chieka cleared away. Torio raised his arm overhead. And the match began. Seconds later, a thunderous whack roared from the mid behind me. So fast.
ストライクだよな。
Yeah. 0 balls, 1 strike. I was self-judging, but I had no intention of falsifying anything. Not when it came to umpiring anyway. He threw the second pitch. It followed the same straight path once more. I took my shot, my bat reciprocated with a fierce swing. Bop, bop. But the ball thudded pathetically as it rolled to the side.
あれ今のってファールです。
2ストライク。
I had been promptly cornered.
オーロさん、今ジャストミートで負けなかった？
Never thought I'd lose with a metal bat. To be honest, I should have had the upper hand due to the metal bat I was using. Regardless, Torio's 160 kph pitch was formidable. Although I'd landed a direct hit, I must have mistimed it by a fraction of a second and it veered off to the side. You really got me this time.
悪いけど次で決める。
He threw a back-to-back pitch. If I were to strike out now, it was all over. Everything had gone according to plan so far. I swung again, and the ball rolled behind me.
またファール。
さすがに甘くないか。
He had pitched all 3 balls straight down the center. He wasn't going to beat me with this. And then... thunk. The next pitch. Landed in Smith's son's mitt.
あれ今のって。
The ball went into the mitt, but Torio looked disgruntled. That was only natural. It nearly grazed the ground.
オーロの負けじゃないの？
ストライクゾーンというのを外れたようです。あれはピッチャー側の失投になります。
1 ball, 2 strikes. What's wrong? Get cold feet?
うるさい。
I bet he came to score an empty swing. He had luckily launched a curveball, but I hadn't swung. Thunk. He pitched another. It was in the strike zone this time, but it simply grazed my bat and rolled behind me.
この
Another pitch. This one grazed the bat and rolled as before. On the next ball, I didn't swing. The sound as it hit the mitt was somewhat quiet.
今のは
A ball, of course. 2 balls and 2 strikes. It had veered too far to the side. He wasn't one to complain at this point, so he immediately prepared for the next. He was a simple guy. If he was going to go pro, he would need to at least be petty in these scenarios. On the 8th pitch, it rolled on the ground once again.
3球対決って言ったのに長くない？
あのファールで引き伸ばされていますね。おそらくこれが市松殿の作戦。
Precisely. There was a distinct flaw in the rules of this match. There was no referee. The 2 of us both acted as umpires, even though I hadn't planned on lying. Nobody was there to hold me, the batter, accountable. I had merely swung at any balls that came into the strike zone, otherwise I'd relax and remain still. Torio's blazing fastball would incontestably knock my swing away, but it would still hit and ensure they were all foul balls. If they were an umpire, they would surely notice when my bat suddenly stopped and I'd be out due to a foul bunt. Torio couldn't tell when self-judging, and Smith's son had agreed not to say a word. I mean, yeah, that meant I was playing dirty. But it was his fault for not verifying the accuracy of those calls. To discern when an opponent had broken the rules was an important quality to have in baseball. And the 9th pitch. Torio's pitch. Not good. It landed in the catcher's mitt in an exceptionally perfect position.
今のストライクゾーン。
From both Chieka and Reina's point of view, who vaguely knew the rules of the game, that ball was nothing short of perfect.
Oh.
Even Smith's son had acknowledged it was a strike. I also agreed from my perspective. That marked the third strike and my loss. But no, it was fine. 3 balls and 2 strikes. A full count, huh?
そうなん？
As long as I sounded fully confident. Torio would obediently proceed to the next pitch. Chieka, Reina and even a pro like Smith's son acknowledged it as a strike. But Torio hadn't. That much I could tell. This was a little too cheap, so I really ought to tell him. I told you this before. Fix that habit of yours already. That habit where your nostrils flare and you lean forward when you try to pull a fast one on someone. I was likely the only one in the whole world who noticed. The greatest flaw in this guy's pitching wasn't his lack of stability, the fact he always threw straight balls, or anything remotely technical. It was his facial expressions, his quote-unquote tell gave away his next pitch. This guy who'd gotten this far on the merits of his straight ball speed since he was little naturally assumed it was his job to pitch into the strike zone. Flipped around, that meant he was averse to any pitches outside the strike zone to bait a missed swing. It showed on his face unintentionally that his heart wasn't in pitches not intended to strike his opponent out. His expression gave away any throws meant to bait an empty swing, those outside the strike zone. He had thrown earlier with the same type of look on his face. It may have been a careless pitch that went into the strike zone, but inside he considered it a ball. Which was why he agreed his pitch was a ball as long as I said so. His one other weakness was, the next will be the last. Just maybe? Bring it on. I retook my position. Torio grasped the ball. This guy seriously had no talent as a pitcher. His other flaw was currently on his face. The second I said this pitch would be the last, he automatically got into the mood to settle it all with this single throw. He was too honest. That weakness was written all over his face. It wasn't the expression of a man with glittering eyes who had bet it all on this showdown. That face told me everything in this next pitch. He would avoid a straight ball while being vigilant of fouls, and yet still go for the strike. He hurled a stuffless curveball into the strike zone. Unlike every pitch before it, I swung with all my might. I didn't spare any of my strength any longer. I couldn't hit a 160 kph straight ball, but if the pitch had no stuff behind it.
すご
お見事です。
That ball tore through the far-off azure New Year Eve sky. Bam. Sylvie and the rest watched that ball which transcended the Academy's fence like it was a grand spectacle. Only Torio failed to watch. There was no need to look, he could tell from the sound. I knew it too. I guess hitability wasn't even a factor. They said a good pitcher could tell when a home run was struck by the sound alone. He may have had the talent of a good pitcher in this one attribute. I headed over to Torio, who looked marginally on the verge of tears. I wouldn't really call this a bet. I won't tell you to go to the majors just because I won. I just think that if you're going to go pro in the future, it'd be best if you held yourself in high regard not as a pitcher, but as a fielder, just like I have. Think the rest through on your own. Once the others realized the match was over, they all gathered around. Sylvie's face screamed, "You were incredible, Odo. but she obviously didn't say it when she noticed Torio's expression. Chieka also came over and...
トリオくん、
うん。
単純にね、私もオーロくんに賛成だった。だって最近のトリオくん、ちっとも野球が楽しそうじゃなかったもの。夏からずっと、オーロくんがいなくなってからずっと。でも私は野球をやってるトリオくんが好き。環境を変えるのはいいことだと思うよ。国ごと変えても。ちょっと寂しいけど我慢する。浮気はダメだよ。
チェカちゃん。
With that, Torio's stiff expression relaxed. Come on, man, if you were going to be so moved by a single comment from your girlfriend, was there any need for our match?
本当は分かってた。自分でも分かってた。ピッチャーには向いてないって。配球の組み立てとかメンタルリセットとかできなくて、それでも早く投げるのはできたからやってこれたけど、プロの世界で通じるとは思ってなかった。
Torio.
本当はもっと早く引導渡して欲しかったのかも、お前に。
Rest easy, you've got the makings of a batter. Watch and swing at any ball that comes your way head on. That's where your talents shine brightest. You have my guarantee. He must have made up his mind. He gave a tiny nod, then turned to Chieka.
頑張って。
ありがとう。あ、みんなにはなんて言おう。急にハマナやめるなんて。
Those guys actually want you to go. That's what they came and told me. The coach and geezers on the committee would definitely be in a tizzy, but it served them right as far as I was concerned, so I didn't mention it.
オロ。
Yeah?
いつになるかわからない。でも、向こうでデビューするときは、応援に来てくれるか？
Huh?
来いよ。お前が勧めたんだぞ。
I mean, it's not like I mind the idea. But don't they tend to decide that stuff last second, not to mention the time difference abroad and whatnot?
大丈夫よ。うちの私専用機ならアメリカのどこでも6時間で着くから。デビューと言わず、いつでも会いに行けるわ。
本当に？
Not happening. That's a 12-hour round trip. It wasn't exactly the most serviceable distance, not to mention how uncomfortable it'd make me to borrow a private jet from royalty for my personal use. I do promise to at least be there for your debut match.
やった！
私も行く。シルビー、飛行機は2人席、ファーストクラスね。ええ、ファーストクラスしかないわ。もちろんいいわよ。というか、あなたたちが専用で使えるよう飛行機を何台かプレゼントしましょうか。できるわよね、エル。
年明けまで待っていただければ簡単です。
We obviously couldn't ask that of you. This conversation had rapidly gone off the rails. It really was baffling how off the charts in scale anything became when royalty got involved. This was just a difference in my and Torio's ways of life. All we were talking about was about how a body and I could strike a balance between our differences.
作っておきましたわ、すき焼き。
Mina-chan came too?
皆さんお腹を空かせて戻ると思い、お夕飯を用意しておきましたの。すき焼きのことは私にお任せあそばせ。美味しそう。
お任せしてしまい申し訳ありません、雷様。
大晦日はすき焼きだよね。
俺たちもいただいちゃっていいの？
Showdown! It's super pricey meat.
オーロくん、なんであのバレエ界の神聖と呼ばれる雷様がメイドさんしてるの？
Since it was just about that time when we got back, we all had dinner as a group. Mina-chan had apparently prepared it for us. It was as tasteful as you'd expect.
ねえ、締めは？今日はお蕎麦、年越しのお蕎麦を締めにするのが大晦日すき焼きの醍醐味なんよ。前に聞いておりますわ。ちゃんと取り寄せております。やっほーい。
We all had a tightly knit meal together.
うまー、またお高い肉かよ。これ霜降りとかそういうの、こんなのいただいちゃっていいの？すき焼きっていいわね。
やはり生卵はなりません。
In the midst of it all. What's wrong? Not gonna eat?
ああ、うん。
If you're not going to eat, feel free not to. I'll eat your meat so you can stick with the tofu and shirataki noodles.
ケロ、お肉ばかり食べない。
I'm sorry.
なんかちょっと焼ける。
Huh?
俺、お前がいなくなってずっとくすぶってたけど、お前はもうこっちでずいぶん楽しい時間を見つけてたんだな。
Ah, guess so. This had become clear to me time and time again this month, but Noble Academy was where I belong now. My time here was so much fun. This is the place I found my golden time. Make sure you go find your own.
ああ。
That had to be what mattered most in life. To search for the golden color within you, to search for the place and time you could be golden. And to make sure it didn't get away from you once you found it. I believed that was anyone's most precious adventure. And how you best struck a balance.
お肉売り切れますわよ。
Crap, let's eat, Torio.
おう。
We went back to the sukiyaki.
嬉しそうね、レーナ。そうかな。レーナはいつもオーラを見てるものね。まあね。彼氏だし。でも見られる努力も忘れちゃダメよ。え？この後困ったな。
Reina and Sylvie were discussing something or other. It was tough to hear, and for that matter, I was too busy with the sukiyaki to lend an ear. What was it though?
じゃあオーラくん、明日はそっちがね。
I know. I'll get in touch once I'm back home. My visit home ultimately got pushed back to New Year's Day. It was beyond my control given how hectic everything turned out. May as well kill time however I could today and make a leisurely trip back home tomorrow. Or so I thought when...
シルビー様、カミナル様、お急ぎください。飛行機に間に合いません。
もう慌ただしいわね。でもこれを逃すと滑走路が使えないので、新年までに国に帰れませんわ。国家の一大事になります。はいはい。あ、オーラ、ちょうどいいところに。
Huh?
ふふ。
Sylvie had asked me to come to the academy for some reason. Everything baseball related had been taken care of. What could this be for? I bared with a cold, went into the academy and found... Oh. Oh.
ああ、オーラ、やっと来た。どうだい？似合うかい？
My brain froze for a second. Reina was always cute, but when I saw her in that getup, the word gorgeous wasn't a word I used often. What's with the costume?
仮装言うな。シルビーの服、本当はクリスマスパーティーでこうする予定だったんだけど。
That definitely would have been the more appropriate time to have worn this.
もともとこういうのはたまにやってるんだ。お互いの服変えたりさ。
I guess they had, now that she mentioned it.
でもやっぱこんなおしとやかなのはねえ、なんか照れるかも。しかも人に見られるって、オーロに見られるって、だんだんガチで恥ずくなってきた。
No, no! You look incredible in that. This was odd of me to say, considering I knew her honest to goodness princess. But she was gorgeous enough to pass as a princess of some land. Wow. My girlfriend was out of this world. Wow.
ジロジロ見んなっつに。
Reina was bashful. What was it? Maybe the outfit? Every little gesture of hers seemed prim and proper. What a turn on.
もう着替えようかな。この格好、実はかなり寒い。
Really? Would you like my coat?
いいよ、着替えるから。
I'll lend you my coat.
着替えてほしくないのね。
Nope.
でも上着、嬉しいけど、オーロが風邪ひくよ。
True, I came here spur of the moment at Sylvie's request, so all I had on under my coat was a flimsy t-shirt. We need to find a way to warm you up without using my coat or changing clothes then.
校舎はいらないと思う。
A bed then? A bed. A bed it is. I took her hand and led her straight to my room.
おい、布団ってまさか。
What else would I be referring to? You don't want to?
もう、この服借り物なんだから汚さないでよね。
Reina shrugged her shoulders, but I couldn't help but notice her grin. Now then, please follow me to bed, princess.
苦しゅうない。
And cut. I'll see you in a second. Ah. I felt the flickering rays of the sun on me and opened my eyes. Oh. Reina? She was gone. That was odd. We fell asleep here together last night. Wait, wasn't today January 1st? So it was Happy New Year then? Maybe she had gone out. Ugh, I was wiped yesterday. I was exhausted all the way up until yesterday, to be precise. I dragged my lethargic body out of bed. Oh, I could hear Reina outside of the room. She was here? Hey, Reina. I opened the door.
おはよう、ねぼすけさん。
Oh, she's wearing a kimono.
おはよう、オーラ。ハッピーニューイヤー。
明けましておめでとうございます。
新年からたるんでると言いたいですが、日本には寝正月なる習慣があるのでしたか。今日は何も言わないでおきましょう。
Another surprise right off the heels of yesterday. My shock was only compounded by how many people were here today. What's going on?
昨日と同じ。今日はみんなも引きずり込んでやった。どうだい？
It's wonderful. Didn't all of you go back to your country though?
王族といえど年末年始の飛行場を自由にはできないもの。遅刻したら帰れないのは仕方ないわね。日本の年末渋滞ラッシュというものを甘く見ておりましたわ。はあ。
Elsan seemed upset. Elsan.
お気になさらず。ただ、新年から始末書の山を片付けつつ、一族老頭に叱られる予定が入っただけです。
That was depressing.
帰れなかったのは不幸だけど、どうだいこの振り袖。みんなの分デザインしといたんだから。すっごくかわいいわ。 レイナに言われて年明け3学期を楽しみにしていたけど、今日元日に着るのもいいわね。
気が重いこともありますが、この服は気に入りました。
日本人の美意識というのは侮れませんわね。
All three seemed to like them, and it went without saying I was intrigued by their outfits too.
やっぱいいよね、おしゃれって。その日その日でテンション上がるっていうかさ。
You've really come into your own as a designer, huh?
さて、じゃあみんな初詣でも行こっか。3人とも今日はいいんでしょ？ご一緒しましょう。
明日以降のことは忘れたいです。
実は日本の初詣も気になっておりましたの。
Everyone set out with Reina at the lead. I got changed and followed after them.
今日はどんな面白いことがあるかな？
Who knows? What I can say is, everything's gonna be great as long as you're with me, Reina. That was just the kind of person Reina was. Adept at striking a balance, but also extraordinary at, if nothing else, making sure everyone was happy and having fun. Hadn't someone called it motherly love once before? Was this what they meant?
なんだよ、照れるじゃん。褒めすぎかよ。
She always did look incredibly trendy on the outside though. A tough cookie to wrap your head around. Except for the fact that it was so much fun to be with her. Oh? Could it be? Did we already reach the end of Reina's route? Seems like it.
Papa.
What?
Papa.
Guess they got a kid now.
Papa!
Oh, do they have a kid already? Oh, they have 2 kids! And she's pregnant again. You surprised me!
朝ごはんの最中に新聞読むなって何遍も言ってるっしょ。パパ、お行儀悪い。悪い。
Ah, sorry. I set the newspaper aside. Okay, why don't we eat? It was another morning like any other. Our daughters had gotten bigger and we could now finally have a calm meal. We did have a third on the way though, so we'd be back to a hectic lifestyle of breastfeeding this and diapers that soon enough.
新聞言うから一応取ってるけど、読んで何か楽しい？
Grannies and grandpas come in City Hall all the time, so it'd be nice if I could pick something up from today's paper to drum up a conversation. It's really tough being a civil servant.
大変だ。変だ。
It's gonna wear your papa here out.
頑張れパパ。よしよし。
Something told me my two very impressionable daughters were becoming a lot like Reina at their age.
大変なのはわかるけど、誰かさん、新聞はスポーツ欄しか見てないじゃん。
Ugh.
典型的なおっさんになっちゃったね。パパ。
I'm average at best, and don't say I'm stereotypical.
どっちがうの？
You'll understand once you're older.
最近は新聞もメジャーの情報を載せてくれて助かるね。
Ah,
島くん、昨日はどうだった？
he went 2 for 5 at bat.
いい感じじゃん。
No home runs though. If this keeps up, he won't earn the title of Home Run King this year. He worked really hard for 2 years to get this far too.
要求が高すぎ。千恵香ちゃんが怒ってたよ。オーロくんから電話が来るたび、プレッシャーかけられてて旦那がかわいそうって。
Players start getting discouraged around 9 years in, and I wanted to give him that extra push.
そっか。もう9年か。
Reina had a nostalgic look in her eyes. 9 years had already passed since he debuted overseas. So much had happened since then. Reina and I finally got married after a lengthy time of living together, and I found employment as a civil servant. And
来週雑誌の人がうち取材に来るから。
again, there's been tons of them lately.
このお腹で遠出したくないから断ってるんだけど、あっちから来るって言われるとね。ま、私のブランドにはいい宣伝だから、笑ってやっとかないと。
Reina's career was panning out rather nicely as well. She and I were toiling away at our perhaps happier than average lives.
ああ、こら、オーロ、セロリ残すなっつに。
I know, I was going to eat it last.
パパ。
I get it. You need to eat your piece too, though.
全部食べた。
えらい。ほら、パパとお姉ちゃんに見せてあげなさい。真っ白に輝くお皿を。本当に真っ白。こら、お皿に残ったドレッシングは舐めないって注意したでしょ。
What's wrong with that? Reina and I still acted like the same old friends we'd always been. Maybe that was why we stayed so light-hearted even after we had children. Still, I thought we made for a happy household. That we could be a nice, average family.
さてと、来週のインタビューのためにまた黄金率についての簡単な説明とか考えとかないと。あれが一番聞かれるんだよな。うちのブランドの一番の売りだから仕方ないけど。ね
ねえママ。
ん？
黄金率って何？
そうだな。わかるかな？すごーく簡単に言うと、バランスが取れてるってこと。
金色ラブリッチ。
And that's it! That was Reina's route. And it was pretty nice. Although sometimes I had the feeling it was more about Torio than Reina, but oh well. So, whose route do you all want to see next? If I'm not mistaken, Ria's route is still locked. So, do you want to see Sylvie's or Elle's route next? But wait, doesn't Akane-chan have a route too? Although I think she's just a side heroine, so her route is probably shorter than the others. So, do you want to see Sylvie's route, Elle's route, or Akane's route next. As always, you will find a link to a straw poll in the video description below, where you can vote for the route you want to see next. Anyway, that's it from me for now, so as always, thanks for watching everyone, and have a nice day. Bye bye.